Welcome to Career Overload. I'm Anthony, and it has happened. Microsoft has announced the Xbox Series S. Microsoft released a video for the Xbox Series S, and this has been rumored for a while. Brad Sams over at Therot.com, he came out with a whole bunch of information yesterday on this console, the price, which is $299, and then he came out with like a picture of it. He had it released. I don't know who all did it, but I know I saw Brad Sams tweet that out, and his article on it there as well. So he kind of was at the forefront of this. I believe he was the first one really to talk about this Xbox Series S, or Lockhart as it was known before. And this is, I want to give credit where he did a great job getting that information out and relaying it to the community. But overall, I think that Microsoft releasing this is putting them in a position very interesting for this console, and I like their position for this console generation so far. Now, that's not to say that Xbox is going to run away from this. I think Sony has a very strong name for their consoles, and Sony knows how to dominate the console market, right? Or sell a lot of consoles. But Microsoft is trying to get gaming everywhere, trying to get their games at every platform, PC. You got, Xboxes now at every price point. So this is another option for them for that. So let's take a look at this video. I'm not going to have the sound on it, but you'll be able to see it, and we'll walk through it here. And let's see, can we play it? And there we're going through, and Xbox just does all this whole design thing to start with, which is fine. It's interesting to kind of reveal a product, and it is going to be white with that black circle. Kind of almost looks like the same circle that is on the top of the Xbox Series S, and maybe there's some reuse there. But as you see, it is, well, here in a little bit, it is smaller than the Xbox Series X, and I want to know how it really compares to the prior gen consoles as well. They talk about the custom SSD. I think that was basically comes out of talking because Sony has their custom SSD, so we got to talk about ours. They say up to 120 frames per second, which is more than what I expected. I expected it to be around 60, just something. Okay, we got a good entry level console here for people, something that we can play our games on, something that is not, let's say the Xbox Series X is $500-$600, someplace in there. Well, it's not something that parents have to look at. Oh, this is a really expensive investment. It's something here where it's $300. We can get this and get our kids a game too as well, and they have a console, and the kids can get a game, and we can go off from there. So Xbox goes Power Your Dreams, kind of ended it, and here let's stop at the specs here, right there. So let's go through these. It's an all digital, so there's no disc player, which I'm fine with at a console like this. And if you're all digital, I'll talk a little bit about SSD, but that size of the SSD I think is related to being all digital, so you can remove that game and re-download it. Now, is this console really targeted for somebody that can go through and is just have limited internet access or slow internet? No, I don't think so. So I think that you're going to need the internet access, and a good internet access, even maybe unlimited, depending upon how much these game sizes to go in the future. But if you can remove it on and off, I think that's okay. If you're looking for something that you don't want, internet access, or you have slower internet, maybe you're probably looking at that disc version of the Xbox Series X, or like the PS4 with the disc player. So 1440p though at 120 frames per second, which just kind of shocked me. I thought they would stick with 1080p and do 60, but they went 1440 at 120. So it's gonna be interesting to see this next chip of what AMD and Microsoft were able to put together, especially, and also AMD and Sony were able to put together for this console, because it's starting to play into, maybe that's why we saw the release of what Nvidia did a week ago. Hey, we got to compete with kind of, seeing where the consoles are and beat the consoles. So we do have DirectX ray tracing, variable rate shading, and variable refresh rate. I believe those three are all combined for the what is it, the DX12 Ultimate. So to be qualified for that, so I'm guessing AMD's next GPU is going to be also have these things. I want to see how good they are. I want to see how well it works. Is the 120 frames per second when you get the variable refresh rate and the variable shaders in there, maybe not the ray tracing, or how does that all work? How do you achieve that 120 FPS? Um, that's the thing that I'm really wondering about. Now they also say ultra low latency. Is that controller input latency? Is that TV input latency? What is that, Microsoft? Um, that'd be great to see what they mean by that. As I said with the 512 SSD, yeah, this is gonna be smaller. It is cheaper console, so Microsoft trying to keep the cost down. There you got the 4K streaming, media playback, and the 4K upscaling for games. I want to know what the upscaling really means, because you're playing 1440p at 120 frames per second. An upscaling thing would be, I'm guessing, for older games, but only time will tell with that. And what Microsoft says, we got only this announcement and not anything more. And I think we'll be hearing more here very soon, as this is going to be released November 10th. And if you see at the bottom here, you can kind of see available November 10th. And they also talk about Game Pass being all digital. I think Game Pass does kind of make some sort of sense there as well. $299 is the price, and yeah, it's going to be kind of interesting there to go forward for this. So I think the $299 is a great price point overall. I think it's a great entryway for the Microsoft ecosystem on this console. It's also going to be able to get parents out to buy it this holiday season. And I think it's a way to kind of position some of their consoles against Sony a little bit better. Coming out, I mean, Sony does have that digital option and their PS5. And just, no matter what Microsoft can do with how good they can make a console or whatever else, Sony still sells a lot of consoles, right? Sony's been in the console game longer than Microsoft. Sony has a reputation. They have these great first-party games. So what can Microsoft do to kind of make them interesting, make them, really attractive for buyers? I think this is one way to do that. Now, do I think Sony is going to just walk, or be able to be held away because now Xbox has this cheaper console that maybe Sony won't be able to match? Well, no, Sony could play this game, right? They have a digital one. They could come the digital cost a little bit cheaper, make it close to this Xbox Series S, and make it hard for somebody to do it, right? You get a more powerful console for maybe a little bit more money, maybe $100, maybe 50, depending upon how cheap Sony wants to do, if they're going to make the money all back on their back end with games. So there's that really to think about, and to see what Sony's moves are going to be going as well. So I've just been going through this in my head with different scenarios, what could happen, and until we get firm prices from PlayStation and Microsoft, and I'm saying firm as in the consoles are getting ready to be released. We've seen AMD change prices before release, so it kind of makes you make an assessment of price just to change it. Yeah, it's maybe another video or something, but I'd rather make the assessment once we kind of know the prices, because otherwise it just gets kind of confusing. That's changing prices does get kind of confusing, right? So I'm really excited to see this console. For me, I would actually probably go for the more powerful one, just because I really want to see what it's capable of. Now, if I had enough money, I would probably also get this one, right? And just put this one in another area of the house. Actually, I could think of some areas of the house to put it in already. For $299, it kind of makes it so. Also, being a media playback is very interesting to me. I do have a Plex server, so streaming that media is something I like to do. And for my network here at home, it would be very interesting. Now, for something like, hey, putting my parents, if I want to go play games up there, I need something with a disc, because it's just going to take too long to download. And, well, I guess maybe I could try it, right? I could get one, try it up there, and just see how well it works. They have DSL that, depending upon the time of day, is really slow. So, overall, that's basically it with this. My thoughts are, is it great that Microsoft had this out now so that people can see it, get ready for it, And I'm so glad they did not wait until after the holiday season. They needed this before. They needed this to come out with the Xbox Series X, and who knows, it might come out before it, right? It may, and that's fine too. But they waiting till after the holiday season would have been just bad. It would have, I think, it would have put Microsoft in a black eye situation because people would have been upset. Kids would have been upset that maybe their Christmas they wanted an Xbox or a new console and they couldn't get one because their parents didn't want to spend the money on a brand new, Xbox Series S. But now this allows them to get into that next generation ecosystem and start playing on that next generation console. So that's what I like to see about it. Now, it does put a little bit of pressure on Sony to counteract with pricing a little bit here, but I think Sony can even wait until Microsoft announces there's rumors about the price of the Xbox Series X, which is around $499. So if that's the case, I think that's a pretty good price point as well, and Sony could fit right in there at 450 if they really wanted to. They could do digital 450 and then disc at 550. Yeah, they could do that, and I think that would be a perfectly okay way of Sony to go. So that's a little bit about what my thoughts are. Let me know what you think about this console in the comments below. I'm really excited about it overall, and if news keeps going on like this, I will be feeding in some of these reviews, hopefully maybe even more videos per week. But I do owe you guys reviews on this mouse and the keyboard. I actually bought a standing mat that I'm on that is maybe one of the best mats I've tried out. I have one at work that really kind of broke down overall, but this is pretty good, and so I want to review that and a few other reviews that I have going on and that I owe you guys. So with that, let me know and put in comments other things you want to do. I know that there's somebody with loading games who wants me to launch that. These are great ideas. I really appreciate the community giving me feedback with it. And until next time, I thank you guys very, very much. Thank you guys for helping support this channel. I'm very appreciative of it. You guys have done a great job at helping this channel grow. Thank you so much. And until next time, God bless, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.